I'm Helen Van Wyk and welcome to my studio. When I'm in front of my easel, I really am on a vacation from reality because my paints can take me anywhere. They can take me out into the fields and do a landscape. They can take me into the kitchen and do all still life subject matter. And so it really is such a relief and such a joy. So we're going to be on vacation today. We're going to Gloucester on a foggy day. But while we're there, we might as well learn something. We're going to learn all about reflections. Look at this painting. These peaches reflect into this wooden table. And the same principle that I use to do these reflections, I'll apply to making these boats reflect in the still water. Painting is being practical. Practically artistic or artistically practical. And I employed that philosophy by embedding on my canvas the fog. This is all wet, look. And that's the color of fog. I thought since I'm going to embed the scene into a foggy day, I've made the whole canvas foggy. And maybe I'll just make the image come out of the fog. So before I can reflect these boats in the still water, I have to paint the boats. So let me start. You know, sometimes I think that mole stick gets in your way. I'm going to feel a little naked without it, but I'm going to try. And so I pre-sketched it a little bit because I think that what I want to teach is more a matter of procedure, rather of painting rather than drawing. And so let me put the yellow light side on the cabin of the boat to begin with. The windows, they'll come later. Now the shadow side of the cabin, a darker grayed yellow. The back end of the boat's in shadow. And now I can put the white or off-white painted rim. Yes, I work from the top down because I can watch the expensive end of the brush, the part that you're watching. See what I'm doing? What's going on underneath you can't see, and neither can I. And so I can really make that light rim as thick as I want because, or thick as the brush will make it, because I can always hack it down with the green. Again, practically artistic or artistically practical. And then you have to have a confidence to just to try it. You don't have the confidence to try it if you have a lack of knack. The knack of doing things. Painting outdoors is very challenging. And we happen to live in an area that has a myriad of subject matters. And it's especially exciting when there's a storm and we have surf. But that's not the mood of this picture. This is a mood of quiet. So I have to really put in the boats first before I can reflect them. I just tried to make the top of that little sailboat. I didn't have my color right. It was too dull. So I had to make an entirely new mixture. See, that didn't work, so I made this one work because it didn't stand out from the green. And again, I'm going to employ the cutting down method, chopping that down. Remember I told you that I toned the whole canvas with fog, but I think that that would stop me from getting that nice light tone. So I wiped it away a little bit. Yes, I'm anxious to get to the point to show you the reflections. But I think you're curious to know how I started that picture, how I got to the point of what I had to do first. And that is establish the composition. Painting outdoors for me is realizing what's way in the back and then coming forward. I call it inching my way into the foreground. So I would put in the distance and not go down this way, but put in all across. And then come further down. Because I have the audacity to try to put many, many feet of atmosphere on this flat surface. And I find a application of short strokes far more atmospheric than big ones. No stroke much longer than 1.5 inches. By lightening the sky, I ended up with Gloucester in the distance. Let me step back and see if I'm really ready to start showing you how to paint reflections. On stepping back, I noticed that this looks like a flat color. I think it would be better. Flat color meaning it doesn't look as though there's any life, any light. So I've added the color that light is. I've added some warmth to it. Wherever you're in the light, you feel warmer than you are in shade. So I think I needed that before I show you how to do the reflections. To me, as I look at water and reflections in the water, it seems as though the reflections go down into the depth. They don't skim on the surface, go right down into the depth of the water, and then the ripples seem to interrupt it on the top. So this is the whole practical artistic procedure I'm going to use to try to get that appearance of reflections and the little bit of rippling. So let me put the reflections in first and ripple them later. And reflections are what causes them. So I had to put in the green to then put a repeat of the green here. Sometimes the color is darker, sometimes it's lighter, depends on the particular day. Now, yes, I'm just going to repeat that shape. And I'm going to repeat this shape. I seem to have the color a little bit wrong. Well, why don't I change that? Then I'll get this all right. So here's that shape repeated, a little backwards, no ripples. I'm trying to do everything at once. Dissect the difficult job into stages. Just don't think that you have water on your brush or a boat on your brush. You're just perpetrating the components, and right now I'm relying heavily on 3 of them: the shape, the tone, and the color. So I mix the color on my palette, recognize the tone of that color, and then just hope that the brush aims it in the right shape. Now, what do I see here? Well, this yellow cabin is reflecting, so I have to go back to that yellow color. Why don't I make sure that I have them related? And that reflection seems to go longer than the thing that's causing it. Depends on the particular perspective that you're looking at. And now the white little sailboat is also reflecting its light side. And why don't I use that same color that I used here for its vague shadow side? Down. All my strokes go down. Down into the depths. Then all this dark stuff, dark blue, dark gray blue, seems to be influencing the water here. Again, down. This is also doing something to the water. It looks kind of odd. Don't worry. Don't judge your picture at an inopportune time. Judge it at a point that you've finished a particular procedure. And I want to now make sure that all my strokes go down into the depths. I've got to get this little buoy to reflect too. Ooh, how can I have red reflection without a red buoy? And before I start rippling it, maybe some of the details of the boats will also have something to do with the reflections. Painting takes a lot of time. So you might as well try to be as efficient, because a lifetime isn't long enough to paint all the pictures you have to do to say, ho, 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 it's getting easier. Painting is not difficult. Painting well is almost impossible. Practice will help. And something that's influencing the reflections very much are the rigging. Now, this pole, I try very hard not to have it come right along that line as it does in my first picture. Oh, I need my maul stick, I got a wiggly. No, I did it. Doing straight lines, it's a good idea to let your stroke follow your brush handle instead of pointing it. You get very nervous pointing it. You get a little bit of a security if you have the brush already in line with the stroke you're going to make. Because these things are also happening in here. Just as when I go to Europe, I always pack too many clothes. I've packed too much paint. But always squeeze out more than you need, because you don't know how much you need, and it'd be terrible to starve your picture of paint. Lots of people worry about the color, say, I want to learn more about color, and I really should say, you know about color, you're just not using enough of it. Because it's very important that there's enough paint on this canvas to move it into rippledom. So let me go and let me trace it over, check it out. Let me make sure that I have some variations. I'm going to make it a little darker here, and I think that I have to make it a little darker here. These down indications of the reflections should be quite strong. They're going to have to still be visible. This looks a little vague in here. I hate to be finished too fast. Try to keep your picture in a condition that it's still workable. Lots of people say, I'm not finished yet. I says, you're done for, because everything is in a little wrong. So try to control your mistakes or control the quality of your picture at each stage. Why not? No, I want to put in a little bit more coloration down where the water is closer to me. Ah, I like that better. See, I can see more color as it's close to me, not back there. There it's affected by atmosphere. Here I'm practically looking down into the water. A ripple brush. How about that one? Oh, I don't know. I think I'll take a filbert and start here. Now, where the boat is lapping the water a little bit, we get a light rustling, and that separates the boat from the water. That would also happen here at the buoy. Oop, getting buoy color. With the blue, wiggling in to the green. Wiggle this. This little boat is also moving the water. Where its little fanny is sitting in the water. So, putting reflections in one way, down, then rippling the water across, gives the paint illusion of reflections. That's why painting is a vacation from reality. I can't make it real. I can only make it have an illusion of real. The particular illusion that is my capability at this particular time. Now let me see how that illusion looks. Upon stepping back, I noticed a rather drastic mistake. In showing you how to do reflections, I've made all the reflections, or the reflection of the boat, darker than the boat. So I have to do something about that. I surely can't fix this, and that's just going to all disappear. I think I'll just darken the boat to make it look more sensible. Paintings don't look realistic, they look plausible. The plausibility of it. That makes this color more acceptable. I didn't reflect the white in here, and I think that would help the focal area. This. Constantly be a slave to a focal point. Not a slave to your picture, but a slave to the focal point that you're imposing. That's really the heart and the guts of a painting. It's what makes people look at a painting. They say, ah, because you've directed their attention. And now, to try to make this unify a little bit more, I'm going to take a big brush and see what just pulling it together will do. Ooh. And then across. It's calming it down a little. I'll try anything. What have I got to lose? A picture that no one knows I'm doing? Oh. That's how it is when I am in the quiet of my studio. Many people are afraid to work on their pictures because they feel as though they already have an audience. You address your picture to your own curiosity, not to somebody else's judgment. So one time you can be absolutely daring and do something just for yourself. Wow, I shouldn't have done that. I'd like to show you a technique to add light to things. This would be better if I piled it on. So, as Yogi Berra said, when it's over, it's over. Get to a certain point, you can't do anymore. And so, I hope you've enjoyed this vacation and how to make reflections. And next time we meet, I'll teach you something new, or I'll teach you how to make soup. It's into the world of paint. After all, it's on my vacation. Well, look at my palette. Well, it's coming along all right. Remember I said that painting is a vacation from reality? Hello, I'm Helen Van Wyk, and welcome to my studio. I'm stalling. Stalling because once I start going across, it's